Alright, hey there guys, welcome back to another video. This one's going to be kind of different than what I've normally been putting up, where I've actually been showing you kind of how I do certain things when it comes to making your mods look kind of cool or whatever the case is. This one's going to be more on stuff that I've done to kind of help you guys, and a little bit of a look into how I organize things just to make things easier when it comes to actually making mods and making things in bulk, because my next update for my mod pack is going to have a lot of stuff in it. So let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing I want to show you is going to be a Photoshop template file that I've basically been working on, and this is how I kind of structure all of my Photoshop files for all my different items that I make, from uniforms to vests to helmets to backpacks to you name it. This is how I do it. So these templates that I'm going to be, this template that I'm going to be showing you is going to be available for everyone to use, and I will be updating the repository where I upload all this with the new items as I get to those items. So we'll start here with the NATO combat fatigues, and I'll just walk you through how the file is structured over here, and then how you can go about pretty much adding your own stuff in there like really quick. So on the right side here where your layers are, you can see there's 5 different folders, and then 2 layers right here, one called base, one called original. So how this is structured is this original layer right here, if we just alt click on that layer, this is the original texture from within the Arma files, showing you just that's what it looks like. That's pretty much all it is there for, is just to show you that's what the original looks like. So if you need to compare for some reason, there you go. So we'll unhide that. So this layer right here, this base layer, is just a completely solid black layer, and it's just a background there for the little edges here, and that's all it's used for. So those are those two. The exclusions folder up here contains a ton of different layers here of cutouts of the image, of this original image here, that will make it easier when creating a new texture. So what I mean by that is everything on here is different. If you were just to slap a new, like, say, camo down, it would cover the whole image, and if you were to export that, it would look really, I mean, it'd work, but it would look kind of crappy. So what this does is basically, if we start like showing layers here, you can see this one's entitled belt buckle. If we zoom in, you can see that when I toggle this layer, there's a completely black layer that shows up over the belt buckle. Do the same for the belt, same exact thing. There's an entirely black layer that shows up over the belt. And you can do this for the entire image. If we just click down here, you can see certain things keep getting added every time I click, until pretty much eventually we have the entire image completely covered. And if we even turn off this base layer here, you can turn that on there, and you can see the entire image is covered in black. So you might ask, well, why is that even important, and what does that even do? Well, what I will do is, real quick, if you go down to layer 5 here, or folder 5 where it says custom textures, this is where you'll put your own textures. But basically, if we were to say we wanted a green uniform for some reason, so what we'll do is we'll just select this green uniform, just create a new layer here, turn that one off, fill the entire layer with green, and wow, that's bright. So say we don't want the shoes, obviously we wouldn't want the shoes or the gloves green. So what we can do is, if you control click on the layers that you don't want colored, you can click on them, invert the selection by hitting Control Shift I, and then deleting that layer. Okay, and what you can see, or if you wanted that layer, you can undo the invert and delete it. And you can see that now that section of the boot is black there, and you can do that for this layer and that layer, delete, and now you can see the boot is black, which is the base layer under here. So okay, let's just turn that gray on there so we can just have an underlying color, right? Same thing with the glove here, we don't want it colored, so we'll just select all those options, delete. And let's see here, we've got so say we want only certain parts of the pants to be colored. There's a pant camo layer here, pants color, pant pockets, so we don't want the pockets colored for some reason, whatever reason, and we don't want these the color either, so we can delete that as well. So you can see how certain things get cut out based on what we select. And then this base layer here, you can select that and delete everything on that, and that'll get rid of all the excess around the edges that you don't want to have seen. So that's basically how these layers work. You just find whatever layer you want to create, select it by control clicking on this little section right here, and then just deleting, having your layer selected. Okay, so that's a pretty easy way of creating new uniforms very quickly and very efficiently. And I can go from having a completely blank canvas to a new uniform, a new camo, a new color scheme, whatever the case is, in under 5 minutes using this kind of speed process here. It took a lot of time getting all these layers made, but in the end, it's really worth it. So move on to the corrections layer here. All this is a brightness and contrast layer. With the brightness all the way up and the contrast staying even. And basically what that does is offset the darkness that these 4 layers create, which is our ambient shadow, our normal map, our speculars, and our optimized specular maps right here, which are taken from Bohemia. And if you were to toggle these 2 layers on and off, you'll see you just get this kind of plain gray boring texture, which you can work with, but I prefer to have these on just so you can see what it looks like as you're making it. Right under that we have the effects layer, and this is just certain overlay effects that I've added to my image to make it look a little more worn, a little more beaten up. You can see this belt overlay here. If we zoom in on the belt, just position that right there, we can turn it off. You can see it adds this really nice pattern to the belt to make it look like an actual belt and not just a flat kind of boring image. The boot dirt layer here, if we come down here, we can toggle this on and off. You can see it makes it look a little more muddy. Looks like it's been actually out in the, combat zone, getting dirty or whatever the case is. These knee and arm pad one right here has a lot of scratches on it, so it looks like it's been, the guy's been kneeling or he's been leaning up against something, whatever the case is. And then each of these uniform dirt and uniform grunge textures, shadows, and streak layers it adds more effects. You can go through and you could delete all these and put your own in if you wanted. If you want a really clean looking uniform, you can go back in and add your own new ones that completely change the way it looks. If you want an even dirtier, beat up uniform, whatever the case is, you can add it. And that's where the effects layers are as far as this goes. So, and then again, the 5th folder here is just your custom texture ones that you create. What I recommend is just creating a new folder for each camo or new uniform that you want to make, so that way everything in this one folder is related to the first texture, and then if you were to make a second one, it would be in a second folder, and so on and so forth. So just to kind of show you what this looks like with something that I've already done, we're going to go ahead and head to the one I've been using, and under here you can see that I've got a bunch of different folders, and these are more of groups of stuff rather than just individual ones. And then you can see that in here I've got, for this instance, I've got 5 different camos right there, sorry, 6 different camos. Wow, I can't even count. All different kinds that I've used my templates to create, so things are very quick to make this way. I can show you the multicam layer, just turn these on. You can see that if I want to edit something in the Alpine layer here, say I want to darken the background color of the shirt, or maybe let's say lighten it up. So I'll just select that layer, and then I can go, okay, shirt color, just control click on that, open up our hue saturation panel, and we can just lighten it up like that, and boom. And we made that change, and it happened like that. We got real time, nothing changed. I have a weird texture there. I'm not even sure what that is, but whatever. But there you go, that's how it works. That's how you would go about utilizing these layers to change what's down in your actual textures. So now that we're done with Photoshop, I will go ahead and close out of this. Wait for it to save, because maybe today. There we go, okay. So now that you've seen all that, right, what I'm going to show you next is some templates that I've made. As far as the actual configs go for making new items. So what I'll show first is obviously the Photoshop templates. These 2 folders will be on my GitHub, and I'll show you that here in just a second. But you'll see how I name things basically, and they'll just be eventually a long list of stuff that you'll be able to download and then use yourself. So first folder here is just a quick write-up I did on how to set up a mod folder. So when you start making your own stuff, you don't have a completely disorganized, whatever you want to call it, just mess. If we go to here, so this is my working directory. Basically go through here and you can see I've got all these different add-ons right here, all individual PBOs, but I can go in about and edit them all very quickly using these templates if I needed to. And that goes in how to like name it, how and where certain files should go to, and then like file paths in relation to the home folder and so on and so forth. So read through that. If you need any help, then yeah, there's Google. Here's the config.cpp template. Just real quick, copy paste that. You never have to touch it again. CFG patches shows you how to organize that properly and kind of what things are and where they go and the nomenclature used. CFG mods. This one's out of date. I need to update it, but basically you just copy and paste that and it would really easily make your mods viewable in the menus and like icons and logos and things of that nature. CFG vehicles and weapons are going to be the two biggest places, and they're structured the exact same, but what actually goes into them is slightly different. So you can just kind of copy and paste this kind of basic layout and put them into both. And then we've got CFG unit insignia, which is like the patches that you can put on in the virtual arsenal, and that's all you really need right there is those 6 lines of code. So and then here is where the fun stuff is. So Blue 4 item config template is all the items from the Blue 4 faction within Arma. And what I've done is, I'm going to collapse these layers here, is I've gone through and I've created categories of different types. So you've got uniforms, vests, headgear, and backpacks so far. As I make more things will get added. But like under the uniforms here, you can expand this list, and everything under here is related to the uniform specifically. So this is what it's called, uniformed. RS is rolled sleeved, and LS is sleeved version here. So this is the config that or the text that you would put in the CFG vehicles.hpp file up here. And then all you got to do is go through and edit things that are given here. So like your class name is what you would want to call your item, and then the parent class that it references, your name, the display name, the DLC. Don't touch hidden selections, hidden selection textures. You can see it says path to image file in the PA format. Again, read mod folder structure on how to set that up. And then the models that are used for the non-rolled sleeved version and the rolled sleeved version. So on and so forth down here. And then the name of class and CFG weapons. Again, you'll read that for the specifics on that. And then under that is another set of configs that you put in CFG weapons, and same exact thing follows. You just replace what's in here with what you want to make, and boom, you put those in your files, you pack it, you're done. Nice, quick, simple, fast, and easy. Same thing go with the ghillie suit right here. I've got what's this one down here? Oh, this is just a template. Yeah, you can get rid of that. Yeah, whatever. So again, put all this in the CFG vehicles class. Put all this in the CFG weapons class, boom, you've got a new item. And that goes for everything down here. Some of this stuff might not quite be up to date as I go through and correct this as I need, not necessarily as it gets updated by Arma. So just heads up, if something's not working, just pull up the config viewer in Arma and just verify or change or whatever the case is. So all this is available. So I've got a bunch of Blue 4 stuff here. As you can see, I've got some civilian clothing like the shorts and shirt. Let's collapse that. The tactical vest, things of that nature. And then some independent clothing as well for certain uniform types as well. So I've got all that there just for you guys, so you can go ahead and use it. Now, where is that? Well, that is all on my GitHub. So you can go to github.com/ my name up there, Matt the Hacker. I'll have a link in the description as well, so you guys can go right there. And these are my 3 directories that I'm working on. There's nothing in here. My OPXTs where I put all my custom mod stuff, which is about a month out of date. I've done a ton of work since then, so that's mostly wrong. But the Arma templates here is where you'll go for all that stuff I just talked about. So you've got your Photoshop templates here. All you gotta do is go in, click on it. It'll do its little thing here. Eventually. Okay, maybe not. basically what you can do is just go in through here, download these files. You can open up the uniform templates and it'll have the text right here. But what I would actually recommend doing is just cloning the repository or downloading as a zip, and you'll get all these files on your local drive, so you can just access it, or you can clone the repository if you use GitHub and always have it up to date whenever I push new updates if you want to. So that's basically how that works, and I give a little readme down here saying blah, 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 and then I'll give a link to this video that I'm making right now, right here, so that you guys can actually, if someone new comes here, they can actually have a reference if they don't know how to use that. So that's basically how you use this as far as my GitHub goes. And then, like I said, OPXT is my mod pack, and it has a bunch of my stuff in there and all of my add-ons. Like I said, it's quite a bit out of date. But that's where you can go to get the latest and greatest stuff from me. So done with that, and last but not least, I want to show kind of where if I'm working on an item, this is how I would set my folder up. So again, sticking with the combat fatigues that we were looking at in Photoshop earlier, I have a folder. I should say, let's go back all the way here. So under my retextures folder, I've got folders for each different type, so backpacks, headgear, uniforms, and vests, and then I've got one for some TFAR reskins that I've done, and then all of my actual like icons for certain things are in there. But if we go into uniforms, you can see I've got one for combat fatigues, flight suits, ghillie suits. Go into combat fatigues here, and I've got the Photoshop file where all of this stuff is put. I've got 3 different folders here for the final products, one being my UI icons, one being the actual finished textures themselves, and then one being all my PA files that eventually get moved to my project folder when I'm actually done making them. And then these are the original images from Arma that I've taken out, and you can just cycle through and see that those are that. And then I have the RVMat file if I actually create any differences when it comes to the extra stuff that normally isn't, messed with that much. But that's kind of just how I organize things. It makes things really quick and easy when it comes to moving things around, especially how I keep my texture work completely separate than my actual work folders. All my textures are in my Google Drive, and then all my work folders are stored locally on a hard drive here. So that's basically how I do things and how I keep myself organized, so I can, make things really quickly. And then also all of the templates that I made for you guys. So like I said, I'll be updating that as I make new things within the next, hopefully I'm trying to think by the end of January, I'll have a new update, and I'll push a lot of the updates for template files and Photoshop files to the repository for you guys, because I know I've gotten a lot of requests in the last couple of weeks about having templates for things, so I figured I might as well start making some useful ones for some people. So I hope you guys enjoyed that. I hope you learned something from that, and I hope you utilize what I've made. If not, great, go make your own, that's totally fine, but I figured I might as well give a head start to some of the people that might not have as a deep of understanding when it comes to making your own Arma assets. So like the video, comment, check out the links in the description for my GitHub and anything else I might put down there. And I'll see you guys in the next one.